walk through our city streets every day of the week, sometimes oblivious to what's going on around us, sometimes not even looking where we're going, caught up in the hustle and bustle of everyday life, not thinking about anyone else, only where we have to be and what we have to do. And there's nothing wrong with that, but imagine if you could never see where you were going again. Close your eyes for 10 seconds.
Now try to imagine spending the rest of your life living in that darkness, not being able to see anything that's going on around you, never being able to see the colours of flowers and plants, or the sun setting. These are just some of the things that we take for granted. For most people, being blind is an everyday struggle, but for a small few it can be made less of a challenge.
Meet Lacey. Lacey is a 5-month-old Labrador Golden Retriever cross. Lacey is a trainee guide dog that I have fostered for a year to help become a fully trained guide dog and hopefully make some lucky person an invaluable companion. During Lacey's stay with me, I will teach her some basic commands like sit, down and wait, just to name a few. I will also bring her to shopping centres, supermarkets and restaurants to get her used to being in these places and behaving appropriately. She will learn how to walk beside me without pulling or constantly sniffing like dogs do. She will become a walking dog with a job of becoming some lucky person's new eyes. Although Lacey works hard during the day, when the jacket comes off, she gets to play hard too, just like any other dog. We're joined here by Dominique, who was kind enough to give us an interview today, a bit about the guide dogs and a bit about how they've helped her. I have a few questions here for you. First one is, were you born blind? Or did you become blind?
I was born vision impaired. I have sight in one eye and none in the other.
Okay. So what were some of the main challenges you faced every day when you were younger, not being visually impaired, before you got the guide dogs?
Well, I always wanted to be like, as I call it, normal children, and do everything that normal kids could do, like jump off walls, things like that, and go out and play on the road. And but then when I did go out and play on the road, the kids used to slag me by saying, "Oh, look, you can't see where you're going properly," and then I'd come in and I'd start and I'd be crying because they like kids really hurt you when they say things like that.
And how do you feel that you're treated by the majority of sighted people? Do they tiptoe around you, or do most of them kind of like do not pay attention to you when you're walking in town or whatever? Like,
well, I had a cataract removed 3 years ago, and it's enabled me to have 20% more vision now. So when I had the cataract, I thought that we automatically had a clear way walking along the street. But little did I know, it's not the parting of the Red Sea. It's I can actually see the people now where they're walking in front of me, and I can see them actually jumping out of the way. You get on a bus and they're all nearly getting up out to give you a seat. It's unbelievable. Yeah.
the perks of it.
Oh yeah, very much so. Yeah, in fact, I think you get more assistance with a guide dog than with a cane.
Yeah. Did you learn any when you were younger? Did you learn any kind of coping skills or little tricks for getting around and your mobility in the likes of school and stuff like that?
No, well, I learned, I was shown how to use the cane in school, but I never liked it. The teacher used to tell me to bring it home and practice, but I used to leave it in the drawer of my desk. I hated it. But then going on a bus, even the bus drivers are always amazed, like, does the dog know how does the dog know when you're getting off the bus? But you learn to pick up little traits, like, say, you count the bus stops, by the bumps in the road. if they took the bumps out of the road in Dublin, geez, you wouldn't know where you were going.
So now for the part you're most looking forward to talking about. These two little beauties here, the guide dogs. So how did you go about applying for a guide dog?
Well, my parents and my brother always wanted me to have a guide dog, and I didn't want a guide dog, believe it or not, because I thought, well, a cane, you can fold it up and throw it away, and with a guide dog, you can't do that. But the love and companionship they give you is unbelievable. I mean, there's days I'm walking down the road with Opal and I just want to cry because I love her that much. But I'm getting off the point. My mum actually applied to Irish Guide Dogs and filled out the form because she knew if it was left to me, I wouldn't do it. So she did it, and I got the call. It was a year later, and an instructor came up and did an assessment where they see your living area. And you go on a short handle walk, which they hold one part of the handle and you're at the other, and they pretend to be the dog and they're making movements and you have to say, no, leave it, no, and things like that. So, and then they get a feel for your walking pace, so then they know which dog would suit you because they match the guide dog up to the client's size, walking speed and lifestyle and living area.
Yeah.
I was waiting over a year on Holly, and Holly worked for me for 8 years, 5 months short of 8 years. Because a guide dog works up until the age of 10, depending on their fitness and ability levels. So when Holly retired was last February, I was told I could be 7 months to a year waiting on my successor dog. 2 months later, I trained with Opal.
Oh, brilliant.
And I have to say, I never thought another dog could exceed your first. And I never thought that a dog could steal my heart and life in such a significant way, and Opal certainly has done that. I absolutely love her to bits.
So in just in basic kind of day-to-day things, how would she help you on the street? Like, what would be the main things that you find she aids you with?
Well, a guide dog is an obstacle avoider, where if the walking, the straight line principle is of a guide dog's work. So a guide dog is trained to walk straight to the curb and straight to the bus stop and the crossroads straight. Whereas unless you're crossing a road and there's a car parked, then they'll vary you right or left. Or else if there's an obstacle blocking their path when you're walking along, you do an off-curb obstacle work, which is the dog brings you, if they can't get around the obstacle, they bring you to the curb and out onto the road, not in the middle of the road, but out around the obstacle, and when they know the way is clear, they go back on the pavement. I mean, Irish guide dogs, I can't praise them enough. And they're just a wonderful organisation to be a part of, and they fill me with so much joy and happiness, and I just can't praise them enough, and I just love the organisation, the staff and the dogs.
That's what I was going to say to you as well. If you had anything to say to the puppy walkers out there, is there anything you'd like to say in general to the puppy walkers that take the dogs on?
I'm glad you brought this up because I wanted to pay special tribute to Opal's puppy walkers. These people are absolutely tremendous. Opal was their first dog, and I can understand how hard it must be to give your dog back after the first year, because after having Opal a year, I couldn't part from her. But it's very rewarding when the puppy walker, when the owner of the dog they've had makes contact with the puppy walker So then they see what a fantastic role their dog plays in their owner's life, and how much freedom and independence they give. This is Holly, my first guide dog. I qualified with Holly on, God, I have to think now. I qualified with Holly on the 4th of September 2003. Holly was just 2 weeks short of 2 years of age when I got her. My successor dog is Opal. I qualified with her on, I commenced training with her on the 4th of April last year. Last year. I completed training 3 weeks later with her. She's the only dog in her litter of 8 to qualify as a guide dog. After Holly's retirement, I didn't want to get a guide dog. I wanted to wait till Holly passed on. An Irish guide dog said I had to think of my mobility, which they are correct in saying. I didn't realise at the time that I needed another guide dog, but I did. So I went down to guide dogs to meet Opal, and I fell in love with her.
We'd just like to thank Dominique for all her help, and this has been her wonderful guide to independence.